Hey, small group leaders, and welcome to another week of small group. This upcoming week, we're going to be looking at James 3 1 through 12. And I've got some notes here to kind of walk you guys along what we're hoping you and your students are able to kind of explore and experience together in James this week. And so, cool thing about this is it's on taming the tongue. And I just found these statistics that you might enjoy or enjoy sharing with your students, which sort of sets the bar and the understanding of why James is taking the time to talk about how we talk. Um, but here, check this out. So, science has figured out that human beings, you, me, your students, will spend 1/5 of their lives talking. That 1/5 of our lives is spent with our mouths open, not listening but talking. Yes, that is Avery in the background because I'm doing this from home while Lindsay's at the grocery store because I am a procrastinator. So sorry about that. But that we spend 1/5 of our life talking. That on a daily basis, the average person speaks 50 pages a day. That if we were to go back and read what we said in a given day, it would be 50 pages long. That's crazy. So the opportunity to bless or curse is very high in a given day, in a given year, and in the life of an individual. And so that's why James is really taking the time to look into this and speak into this because Christians and believers can use words to bless or they can use words to curse, not only God but others, and even ourselves. So we're going to be looking again at James 3 1 through 12, with the title being Taming the Tongue. And we're going to start by looking at verses 1 through 9. And as we dive into these, verse 2 really sets the stage where it talks about that this is something that all of us struggle with. That no one in your small group, no one in the church, no believer, past, present, or future, is free from this struggle or the reality, but that we all struggle with this in some way. And so this message is for you. This message is for your students. This message is for everyone who's here to listen. So after you guys have had a chance to really set the stage and realize that this is all for us by just looking quickly at verse 2. Next, we would really love for you guys to sort of look at the illustrations that James is using in these verses. We want you to, however you can, to draw them out, write it down, help students paint the picture, and looking at these illustrations or metaphors that James is using so that you can understand the weight and the power of words. That words are shockingly powerful. And you see in the illustrations that James uses that this is power. Words are powerful. And that any word or words, combination of words, things that we say to other people, about each other, about God, have the ability to bring a damaging effect. Even the smallest words can have such a huge control and power over the people that we talk to, either in a very damaging way or in a life-bringing way. So really take some time to look at that, kind of, draw that out with students and explore those, because James is really taking the time to do that as well. After that, you want to take some time to make students see and feel how words play such an impact in their lives. Like, we want students to start personally identifying with this. The questions are there, questions 5 through 8 on, hey, how have you personally felt the damaging effects of words spoken about you or said to you? And then flip the coin and say, if you're honest, how have you used words in a damaging way on purpose, or accidental, or you didn't even realize how damaging your words were going to be, or how someone took them, how we are scarred by what people say, how we are so fixated on what people are going to say about us, and then go to the other side of it, and hey, where have you used words or words spoken to you that were life-giving and uplifting and encouraging? Allow students to sort of see both sides of this, because James is trying to get us to see both sides of this as well. And I think that that will be some really cool conversations with your students, and really giving them the stage to see where this is coming to life in their lives. After that, we looking at verse 7 and 8 with the and just the idea that this is really Matthew 19:26, where it talks about how humans, us over history, have been able to tame all creatures except ourselves. That there is just no way that we are ever going to be able to tame ourselves, because we are too sinful and broken, and that this with man is impossible. But Matthew 19:26, with God all things are possible. That there is going to be no attempt that we can make to tame our tongues. It is too powerful. And the only way that we looked at verse 2, that we all stumble with this, we're all guilty of this. And the truth, the reality is that none of us are going to be able to fix this or change this on our own. That it has to be a God thing, and when it's a God thing, it's a heart thing, right? I think that's been the theme all small group long. Hi, Addie. So really looking at that and spending some time with that, realizing um, that this is a heart issue, and heart issues are not meant to be handled by humans. They're meant to be handled by God and fixed only by God. Then we want you to look at verse 9, and really take the time, especially for those students who think that we never want to assume that they know. So really take some time and define and understand when James is talking and using the word cursing, he is not talking about, swear words and SOB and a lot of other four-letter words that you and students know that we can't say in small group or in this video. But that's not what James is saying. That's not the specifics that James is using. I included a definition that I found from Matt Chandler on how would you define cursing, and it really is hatred towards humans who are made in the image of God, and our words are ways that we express that hatred by cursing them, and ultimately by cursing God, because humans are a reflection of God. And so I thought that was a really cool thing. But then, we want to. Sorry, my notes are all messed up here. We want you to look at Matthew 12:33 through 37, and read that together as a group, and look at that and say, by your words reveal your heart. That there's this idea of what good is in a man. A good man brings good things out of the good stored up in him, what's in his heart. Mouths speak what the heart is full of. And this is, again, starting to show students that this isn't the big picture, right? The big picture, that this isn't necessarily about the words that you say, but it's a heart issue, and where your heart is at with all of this. The big picture, the problem is not the words you say, but the heart that produces them. That is why words are so powerful. They show the world, including yourself, your heart. And so we're trying to redirect students to not necessarily focus on the words that they are saying, but focus on their hearts. And if our words are reflecting something, it's because our heart is reflecting something. And our heart is either going to be fixated on Christ, and that's going to come out in what we talk about, or if our hearts aren't fixed on Christ, something else is going to come out in the words that we say. Then again, we're going to have you shift into the rest of the text, verses 10 through 12. And we're going to, again, have you guys look at the illustrations that James is using, and ask you to try to figure out and paint the picture, draw it out, have fun with it. But what are these illustrations? Why does James use these illustrations? What is he trying to say? If the first set of illustrations was to show how powerful words are, the next set of illustrations are showing us that it's impossible, that these are two polar opposites, that it's impossible for someone who says that they love the Lord and follow him to also speak out against and negatively against God and other people. It says, out of the same mouth comes cursing and praise. My brothers and sisters, here's the command. This should not be, that this should be impossible if you follow the Lord, because your heart, it should be his and full of him. But the reality is that this happens no matter how hard we try. But a heart captivated by God can't speak evil words, because really it's where our identity is at. And so that's really the win that you're trying to get students at, by saying, What drives your words is your identity. What drives your identity is your heart. A heart that has been transformed by the gospel is a heart that knows who they are because they know whose they are. What propels our words of evil is a misplaced identity in the things of this world that can be taken from us instead of our identity in God, which can never be taken from us. And so my hope and prayer is that as you guys have gotten a chance to kind of walk through those things, is that you really look at those 4 questions at the bottom. There's not a lot of questions this week, so you guys hopefully, if you pace yourself, maybe you can get through them, but really get into those 4 questions at the bottom, that the questions before have set you up to say, okay, looking at this, what does this mean? What does this mean in our lives? How do our words impact how we see, view, and understand God and our relationship and the gospel message in our own personal lives? What changes might we see in our daily lives in the world around us if our words begin to reflect a heart that's captivated by Jesus? What happens when we love the Lord but we screw up and we do say something? Like what actions do we take? Where do we step in and ask for forgiveness, admit fault, give it to God, and then seek help and find ways to not continue to do what we've done before over and over again? And so I'm really excited for this one. This speaks right into last week's, where, last week's we were looking at, hey, you know what? Your actions will reflect a heart either for God or not for God. This is the same thing. Your words are going to reflect a heart that is for God or a heart that is not for God or have been captivated by Him. So sorry for the long video, kind of just doing this off the cuff here, but very excited. Can't wait to dive into this with you guys. I've loved so much getting a chance to talk to you guys afterwards and just hear how this is going. And I can't wait to hear more this week. So love you guys. You guys are doing an amazing job. And I pray that in any way that this video helps you, fantastic. That's Avery hitting me with a sword. Bye, guys. Here, Avery. Want to say bye? Say bye-bye. Say bye-bye. Say I turn 1 tomorrow. Is it your birthday tomorrow? You turn 1. Say bye-bye. Say bye-bye. All right. See you guys.